When you're on the set of The Hangover,
Yeah.
are you thinking to yourself, wow, this is going to be a movie that's going to be pretty big? Did
Not
you
at
have any
all.
idea?
Not at all. I've told the story before. I'll tell it again. Bradley Cooper was the guy. We were walking through Caesar's Palace,
Yeah.
and a group of tourists recognized me from Mad TV, and I may be old school, and they were like, "Can we take a picture with you?" And guess who held the camera?
Bradley Cooper.
Guess who took the picture? Bradley Cooper. Yeah. It went, and Todd Phillips, the director, called me and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about this guy, Zach Galifianakis. What do you think?" I go, "I think he's the funniest guy nobody knows."
So hold on. Todd Phillips asked you about Zach.
He asked me. He said, "What do you think?" I go, "I think he's the funniest person."
He
nobody
really
knows."
is.
He is.
To me, he makes that movie so much better.
I didn't get him the part, but it was nice. So,
but he asked you. Well,
yeah,
so
the
you know
whole
Todd,
thing. That whole thing was an accident. I get there. And the guy, Eddie, who's in the wedding
Yeah.
chapel, he's supposed to be a guy from New York. He's
Right.
like, "Hey, you don't remember me? I'm Eddie." And at the reading, I said to Todd Phillips, I go, "What if he's like Armenian or Lebanese?" You know those guys? You know those guys who I can get you whatever
Right.
you want chicks, I can get you a baby, whatever you need. It was that.
And you're that guy.
Dude, and he loved it.
And then in the second Hangover, you play like the strip club manager.
I'm the owner.
You're
yeah,
the owner of the strip club.
Yeah.
What, was that actually in Thailand or no?
Yes, and the guy that they hired, they wanted an Indian guy. I guess he didn't work out. I'm on my way. They're putting me on a private jet to go host Wine and Country magazine's comedy thing. I have my own suite in a chateau, private jet. I'm going to Napa Valley. I'm going to drink the best wine in the world. Todd Phillips goes, "Hey, can you get out to Thailand? We'll fly you first class." I was like, "You want to be part of the biggest sequel?" Yeah. I'll drop everything. He's done that to me a couple times. Like he told me to come one time to LA and do a reading with Tom Cruise. It was just me and Tom Cruise.
How did you get to know Todd Phillips?
Through an actor named Breckenmeyer, and I had dinner with him one time, and I just love Todd. He's a New York guy. So I just love the dude. He's one of the best people I know. He happens to be a genius, but he's also just awesome.
Those movies are so funny.
Yeah, and he writes them. He writes them all. He Bad Santa. He wrote that.
And you were in Bad Santa. Yeah. You were the bartender, right?
Yeah, he gave me my career.
Another legendary movie.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be honest with you. I wasn't crazy about the second Bad Santa.
I didn't see it. Oh, yeah, it missed its mark.
I thought The Hangover, as such a blockbuster first movie that it was, I thought the second one was great. I thought the third one was good. The third one wasn't going to say, maybe because you weren't in the third one.
Look, dude, you never know with a movie. There are so many moving parts that when a movie does well, it's an accident.
Right.
But with a guy like Todd Phillips, if you look at his batting average, there's nobody like him.
Oh, he's incredible. I think
look at the Joker. Think of the Joker.
I agree. The Joker's unbelievable.
Which, by the way, I if you blink, you can see me. Don't blink, and you'll be able to see me.
Were you in that movie?
I was on that set for 5 days. I played this washed-up stripper, so I was basically with my shirt off the whole time in a wig. Okay. And a bow tie, all right? That was my costume for 5 days, and I knew day one as I'm shooting, and I'm in the same room with Joaquin Phoenix. I knew he was going to win an Oscar. The minute I saw him, I said to him, I was watching him. I watched the scene in the bus as I'm standing next to the director, and I went, I've been doing this for a long time. I go, he's going to win an Oscar.
Can I ask you on that set? Can I ask you though, Brian? Like, when you're around actors like that, do you have normal conversations?
No, you don't.
You don't even go up to him?
No. He stays in care. I'm this close to him, and he wouldn't look at me. And he's smoking cigarettes.
He's a weird guy.
He's
a brilliant actor.
He's a brilliant actor. I can't argue with it.
So you're telling me you're on the scene of the Joker. You're playing this
5
role.
days.
You're for 5 days.
Yeah.
And Joaquin won't even make eye contact.
That is correct.
He's in character.
Not a hello or a goodbye. He's in character the whole time.
So
I'm not knocking him. I mean, he's Joaquin Phoenix, and I'm the guy from The Hangover. There's a reason.
That's true.
There's a reason I'm at the cool at the.
Have you dealt with any other actors like that where they're just in character? They won't even talk to you like a normal, Joaquin, you can't even have a conversation.
Yeah, I mean, never to that degree, to be honest with you. Never.
That's a little strange,
degree.
right?
Like Bradley Cooper is a great actor, but he's directing you at the same time. He makes everybody better around him. Whereas,
normal guy, Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, I worked with I try to think of the people I've worked with that were. I've worked with sketch actors that love to be in character, but nobody on that degree. That's a whole.
So you've been an actor, you've been a comedian, you've been around a very long time. You're a successful guy. I'm just curious, what are some of the A-list celebrities that you friends with that you hang out with on a regular basis?
I'm going to tell you a story, and I'm at a party, and Jamie Foxx, who I'm a huge fan of.
Love Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx comes up and he's like, "Bro, what? No, hello, you don't say hi to me?" And I'd met him once randomly, but we're both comics, and he's like. Man, your comedy, blah, blah, blah. And he's just giving me all the love. And I'm like, this is unbelievable. He's dancing with my girl. He's hanging, comes back, telling me stories.
He's dancing with your girl.
Yeah.
Does that make you jealous?
No. I mean, look, what am I gonna? What am I offering? Medium and wrinkled versus Oscar-winning Jamie
That's
Foxx.
true.
Like, stop.
That's true.
There's a pecking order. You got to give it up.
Two
sometime.
beautiful women just walked by
I know,
the way,
that-
wearing
that was-
thongs.
that
Very
was-
difficult not to look at that.
That's impressive. Not that I'm looking. Not that I'm looking. Now that I have a lady.
How old is your lady, by the way?
She's 17. No, I'm kidding. No, she's 32. She's 32.
Don't pull a Harvey Weinstein.
No.
on me here, okay?
Believe me, I won't.
Or
No,
Kevin Spacey.
She's a woman.
Yeah.
She's a woman.
You know any of those guys? You meet any of those guys? Harvey Weinstein, Kevin Spacey.
I dated a gal who had told me stories about Harvey Weinstein. I think she was the first girl to come out against him. So I knew he was a bad guy from there. Everybody knew he was a bad guy.
That is wild.
Everybody knew he's a scumbag.
That is so crazy. By the way,
Guys like that with a track record like that, there's something.
Why do you think it took so long for it to finally get out?
Because nobody, you don't know everything. You just know that he's a shitty, crappy guy.
Right.
You just know that.
Right.
And you know that he lies. You know but he's also very powerful. He's very good at what he does, and everybody's making money. Hollywood.
Right.
If you're making money for other people in Hollywood, you get away with a lot for a long time.
Let me plug your show real quick. If you're just joining us, He is Brian Callen. He's been around a long time, been in some great movies, great stand-up comic. He's going to be at Wise Guys Comedy Club tonight, which is right there on Main Street in the Art District downtown. Great spot.
It's a great club.
And Pauly Shore's a big part of it as well. Great people that run that club. You're doing 2 shows tonight, 2 shows tomorrow.
2 shows tonight,
7:30 and 9:30. Is that right?
That's what I think.
I will be there tonight because your stand-up is you talk a little bit about your family too. You talk about your daughter, right?
Yep.
Circle of Trust. I've heard that.
Oh, yeah.
God.
Complicated
Your stand-up, but it's real. That's what I love about what you do. You're talking about your life. You talk about your family. You talk about ridiculous things in life.
Yeah,
right?
I try to also talk about. I'm getting older, so I try to talk about sort of the folly of this. We are so divided as a country.
We are,
and you've got teams, and you've got media that doesn't help because media is more interested in ratings and your attention. They are not interested in the truth. It used to be the media. We agreed on the truth somewhere in the middle, right?
Do you agree with me, Brian, that it's on both sides?
Of course
you look at Fox News and you look at MSNBC.
I can finish their sentences.
Right.
If it's Fox or if it's MS, my thing is Fox. Well, let's take racism. Fox basically a lot of times is like, what? What are you talking about? We gave them the vote, and then CNN can find racism the way a ghost hunter can find a ghost.
Right.
I don't know where to go on both sides. So I try to kind of I think part of being a comic is to make the truth funny and to get some sensible ideas into people's heads.
Are you afraid though to make jokes when it comes to politics because you might offend people?
I'm always afraid, but it doesn't stop me.
What did you make of the whole Chris Rock situation, the whole Will Smith, Chris Rock thing? As a stand-up comic, as a professional, I thought Chris Rock handled that great. I thought Will Smith was way out of line. What do you make of that?
Everybody knows that. My question is, would Will Smith have done that if that was Jason Momoa or Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson up there?
Yeah.
That's my question.
What's up, Dennis? Right. Dennis Silver's the golf guru showing up. He's a dirty old man. I don't know how he hasn't been thrown out of here yet. But I felt like it's a bad precedence moving forward, what Will Smith did. I thought, again, Chris Rock handled it great.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any situations, Brian, because you've been a stand-up comic for a very long time. Have you ever had any situations where you said something and somebody didn't like one of your jokes? Maybe you haven't been assaulted, but
but I'm not saying I'm a tough guy, but if you're going to come up on stage and you're going to try to do that to me, it's I'm probably not. All I'm going to say is I'm probably going to have an answer for you,
right?
And I'm going to and I'll keep you busy.
Do you deal with hecklers? Like if somebody heckles you on stage, are you one of those people that embraces it, or you can't stand it?
Hecklers are usually a guy. It's either a drunk gal who's not getting enough attention, and she's too pretty, or it's a drunk dude who just is feeling a little bit insecure because he doesn't know what to do with his emotions. Like he wants to be a comic. He's the funny guy in the group, but now he's seeing a professional. Yeah. It's like a guy at the UFC in the stands who picks a fight with the guy next to him because he doesn't know what to do with his energy.
That's true.
He wants to get laid, but nobody wants to have sex with him. He's not making enough money, and now he's like, I'm going to punch that guy in the face, because you're rooting for the other guy.
That's true. I like that analogy.
Yeah.
I want you to rewind back to Brian, when you were like, I don't know, 17, 18, 19 years old. If somebody said to you, Brian, you're going to play roles in some of the most iconic comedies of the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
You're going to be a stand-up comic. Talk about Mad TV, but some of the movies you've been in are just, would you have believed it back then?
Well, I still don't believe it.
Yeah.
I still can't believe that I get up on stage and I get paid for what I got in trouble for my whole life.
You were the class clown?
Dude, I used to drive my own father crazy. Like I would drive him. I was always testing out material. Most of it was bad. And the guy was like, get me away from this kid. Get me away from him. I was just a weird kid that way. I'd come home and I'd be like, you got to start juicing.
Where did you get that from? Where did you get that from? Family members or you just...
I grew up. Here's what I think. I'm a comic because I was raised overseas. I lived in 7-8 different countries until I was 14. So I would be moved to a different country, a different continent every 2 years. So when you're a kid and you want to make friends, you better make people laugh and just don't be the last guy picked on the team.
Right.
So sports and being a jackass were my thing. Right. So and then now what do? I get up in front of a bunch of strangers. They look at me. I got to solve that problem for the next hour.
You ever still get nervous at all? Did you ever get nervous getting on stage?
It's funny you say that. I was doing a show with Joe Rogan, and there were
really,
I don't know, there were 5,000 people out there. It was a while back, and they had the camera on me, and they said I was going to do like, I don't know, a half hour or 45 minutes, and the guy says, "Do you get nervous?" And it didn't even dawn on me, like it didn't even occur to me that I was so not nervous. I was exactly like I am right now. I don't know why. I've just been doing it.
You seem very nervous talking.
Yeah, I know. I'm very well. Well, all the women, I'm trying not to look. And you're very attractive.
Yeah.
That skin tone.
That's the biggest lie of them all. Tone. I'm a pasty, white, bald Jewish man. So, yeah.
You got my skin tone. We don't tan properly.
Speaking of Jewish men, though, I want to talk about some of the people that we've lost over the course of the last
Bob Saget, one of my favorites.
Bob Saget was one of my favorites as well.
I'll tell you a great story about Bob. This is 2 weeks before he died. I'm on the plane. I'm sitting in row 8A. He's in the first seat he's in first class. And I go, Bob. He goes, what's up? And like, I know him very well. So we're like, I love him. And so we're talking and stuff. And he goes, where are you sitting? And I go, 8A. And he goes, is that coach? And I go, well, it is actually. And he goes, well, then I won. So that was Bob all the time.
And that was a couple weeks before he passed away.
Man.
What a tragic. And by the way, I loved Bob. He's been on my show a number of times. He's such a charitable guy. Loved his stand-up comedy. I remember I was interviewing him backstage at the Hard Rock when it was the Hard Rock here in Vegas. My mom calls me in the middle of the interview. And, Bob's like, who is that? He's like, it's my mom. I'm sorry, Bob. He takes the phone in the middle of the interview. He goes, by the way, is this Brian's mom? I want you to tell you I'm Brian's real dad. Right in the middle of the interview.
He's the best.
Oh, he was great. And Gilbert Godfrey, another one.
Another guy I worked with. Another guy
you knew Gilbert pretty well.
Oh, my God. Yeah, again, that's a guy who, if you want to talk about one of the all-stars, guy who is so professionally funny just hanging out. Like, if you were just hanging out with him, I spent probably a week with him on set one time.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you that there was nobody who liked laughing more and nobody who liked doing bits.
Yeah.
He was always funny. Always
a little strange, but such a great guy.
Strange, but
most comedians are a little strange, right?
We're all misfits.
Louis Anderson, another one. I mean, I remember I had Louis on the show about 8 or 9 months ago when Coming to America 2 came out. I mean, we knew he wasn't in great health.
Yeah.
I thought and we knew that sadly Gilbert Godfrey had some health issues, but the Bob Saget death to me is so bizarre. How does that happen?
Well, also because when I was with Bob 2 weeks before, it was kind of, I've never talked about this, but he was so paranoid of COVID.
Really?
And he had his mask on, and my mask kept falling as we were talking. He goes, "What? Can you put your mask?" And I was like, "Bob, stop being a baby about COVID, dude. Right. You're not gonna die."
And he didn't. And he ended up dying. I guess what we've learned is he just fell.
Yeah, he fell and hit his head.
Did you think that's what happened?
I do. I don't think there was any.
Yeah, no conspiracies. No. And then another guy. I don't know if you knew Norm Macdonald really well. But
I didn't know him well. I knew Norm. And
loved Norm.
And I guess he had cancer for a long time. I never said anything. But he was again another guy who. I guess even last time I saw him, he must have known he was in trouble.
In bad shape.
I don't know what kind of cancer it was. Do you?
I don't know
was
either.
It like leukemia or something?
It was obviously something pretty serious.
But you would never have known it. He was a handsome, funny, great guy.
I mean, his Saturday Night Live stuff to me was the best, and his appearances on the Howard Stern show. I don't know if you've ever been on Howard, but
no, but
God, I love Howard.
He's a good-looking guy. Norm.
Yeah.
I remember looking at him going, he's a big, handsome dude. Like I remember just going. Oh,
so I met him, Brian, the Tiger Woods Phil Mickelson golf match. He was just walking the golf course, and I spent like an hour with him. We were talking about Artie Lang. The movie Dirty Work is one of my favorites. Bob Saget directed that one, by the way. And we were just talking about life, and I'm just hanging out with Norm talking about life, and it was so amazing. It was so cool.
So a story about Dirty Work when Don Rickles showed up on set.
Yes.
He looked at Bob Saget and he said, "You're directing this?" Yeah. And Bob said, "Yeah." He said, "I just left the set I was just on set with Mr. Martin Scorsese. I told him you were directing a movie. The man clutched his chest. And then he said, and then apparently it's all from Marty Lang. And then Don Rickles said to Bob right in front of everybody, he goes, "Look, I'm a Jew, you're a Jew. From one Jew to another. You're making us look terrible. Get out of the business." Yeah, he was always joking.
And Don Rickles performed all the time in Las Vegas. I was lucky enough to meet him too about a year before he passed. And what a brilliant guy. I wanted to ask you, that's the next question. Who are the people that you looked up to growing up? Whether they be comedians or actors, people that influenced your life.
Well, I never finished my Jamie Foxx story.
Sorry.
Because
my ADD.
I just realized. No, I just realized. So as he's recognizing me and he's giving me all this love, and I'm like, this is incredible. You got to come to my party. I realized that I believe he thought I was Joe Rogan. That's what I think. He
thought you were actually Joe Rogan.
And that's why he was giving me that much love. I think
Are you serious?
I am.
This was before Joe Rogan was his baby.
No, this was 2 years ago.
How does he make that mistake?
Well,
you don't look like Joe Rogan at all.
Maybe
you're not bald.
I don't know, dude. It was so weird. I think I'm right about that. I don't know if that's 100%, but that's
next time I see him, you got to ask him. Did you confuse me with Joe Rogan? What do you make of Joe Rogan and his podcast? And
he's one of my oldest best friends. So
you know Joe really well.
Very well.
All right, get him on my show next week.
Yeah. I know Joe. Joe.
Do you think the criticism that he's received is fair about some of the misinformation?
No. Listen, Joe. Let me tell you about Joe. Part of what makes him so successful is a couple things. One is curiosity. Mm-hmm. Two, he truly doesn't believe he's better than his listeners. He truly believes he is not smarter or better than any of his listeners.
Unlike
that's a fact.
Unlike me.
I've known the man since I was 28. I've known Joe for almost 28 years. I am his oldest friend in Los Angeles.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, and we've been.
He's done a hell of a job with his career. That's for sure.
But part of the reason for that is that he is very honest. And when you talk about misinformation, he had two doctors on who were saying things that the CDC later on accepted and who were highly accredited in their fields of cardiology and in, I think, vaccines and immunology. They were highly credited. So part of what they were saying had been debunked and then was accepted. Right? For example, the vaccine is not going to stop you from catching the virus. The vaccine is not going to stop you from
Why did he apologize
the virus.
then? Did you think that was wrong?
I'll tell you why in a second. So there was all of that went on with COVID. And a lot of the things we were being told, and it was a learning process. The CDC, World Health Organization, the NIH was saying things like, if you get the vaccine, you will not spread it. If you get the vaccine, you won't get it. And so these immunologists were saying that's actually not true. I developed the MMRA vaccine.
Sure.
So what he wanted to do is have them on. And what I think he was apologizing about is not having an alternative point of view right after that. Because he didn't want people to say, well, I'm not going to get the vaccine. Mm-hmm. If that's not safe, then you don't do that. And that's what he was apologizing about.
So I think what you said is fair. I think because I almost died of COVID 2 years ago.
Wow.
Sorry to be morbid here.
Wow. Did you?
But I was in the ICU for 2 weeks.
Wow.
And I think we all know how serious the virus is.
It knocked me on my ass for 19 days.
Sure. I mean, it affects everybody differently. Yeah. And I agree with what you said. I don't think Joe Rogan has any ill intent. There are people out there that have claimed that they have cures for COVID, selling pills, right-wing talk shows.
That's our problem.
Yeah.
Misinformation.
Extremes, right, Brian?
Misinformation.
Right.
Yes. Well, and my worry is that we are being polarized to the degree that it's almost impossible to find a middle ground. Most of us are in the middle. And as you and I agree, the truth is somewhere in the middle.
Right.
Call me a
I want to listen
conservative
to is doctors. I don't want to listen to Tucker Carlson any more than I want to listen to somebody on the left that's not a doctor.
Exactly.
I've always said this from the beginning. I don't think people should be forced to get vaccines. But if your employer tells you got to get it and you don't get it, then don't work there. Find another job. That's right. I've always felt like you're right.
Now, let me say something about vaccines. It's very important.
Sure.
We already have vaccine mandates. Right. Your child cannot go to a public school without getting 11 vaccines. I think it's 16 in LA. Right. I'm not arguing with that. I'm not. Guess what I don't know about? I'm really good at comedy. Okay, come to Wise Guys tonight.
Right.
Come to Wise
You're
Guys
not a doctor,
and I'll make you laugh hard. You know what I don't know anything about? Right. I mean nothing. Immunology, vaccines. But you know what I do know, like the back of my hand? The reason you and I are around right now, we're talking, and our kids we didn't lose 4 of our kids is because of vaccines.
Why won't people admit that? Why won't so many conservatives admit that?
Because if
you're a Reagan Republican, is that fair to say? You're
know.
a reasonable guy. You're not a nut job.
I'm pro-gay marriage. I'm probably pro-legalized drugs.
But that's against most of the people that are on the far right right now. The Marjorie Taylor Greens, the Matt Gaetzes of the world.
Yeah, but they're not. I don't care. But I also own guns. I love the Constitution.
Nothing wrong with that.
I believe in the Founding Fathers. I love my country.
Sure.
I believe in individual rights over a collective bureaucracy.
But even you're a reasonable guy.
Yes.
I know you are because
Yes.
I've heard you talk about politics before. But do you feel like in Hollywood there are so many liberal elitists out there when somebody says like you, I support Trump, people will attack you for that, which by the way, I don't think that's fair. I'm not a Trump supporter, but I don't think that's fair.
Here's the problem with Trump, and I'm not a Trump supporter either. Here's the problem with Trump. And here's the problem with what happens in Hollywood. There are a lot of people that are way more conservative than you think, but in order to work, you have to be
right.
Yeah. Now, here's what happens when you say you're Republican in any Hollywood circle or anything else, and it's only one thing.
Yep.
When you say I'm a Republican, what you're saying is I want to take a woman's right away, a woman's right to choose away from her. Okay. When you say that to a woman, and I understand this,
right.
I get it. Yeah. Like I'm definitely a fiscal conservative. I'm pretty conservative, but I'm also pro-choice, or at least I don't know where I am.
You're not a nut.
I'm not going to tell women though. I'm just not going to tell women.
But there are so many Republicans out there that do that.
And that's based on religious. That's a religion which I respect.
Why can't they just do that for themselves? Why do they have to push their religion on other people?
Because as far as they're concerned, abortion is murder, and they have a religious duty to fight the killing of babies. That's in their mind. Okay?
In their mind, right?
And I again, right. I hate this discussion because I respect what they're saying, but at the same time, I'm pro-choice. And I here's my argument. I understand if you're saying you want to take you have to protect unborn life. Now, are you going to take care of that kid?
Right.
Who's going to take care of this kid?
Question.
And if you're really that serious about saving lives, let's lower the speed limit to 25 miles an hour.
Agree.
Because you'll save 50,000 lives.
Agree.
Do you want to do that? And then there are 1,000 things we can do that we're not willing to do. So at the end of the day, as a society, I just believe that the federal bureaucracy, the state bureaucracy should not be involved in things like marriage in my bedroom.
Agree.
And frankly,
you don't sound like a Republican.
I'm not. I never said I was.
You sound like an independent.
I'm definitely an independent.
Because that's what I am.
Ask me. Really, the better question is if you ask me if I'm a Republican or a Democrat, it depends on the issue.
Agreed.
Ask me the issue, man.
Could not agree with you more. If Donald Trump runs in 2024, would you vote for him?
No.
You would not.
I don't know. Here's the problem. Trump is going to split the ticket.
Yeah.
I like DeSantis. I like guys like that, maybe. I look at a
He's
track
younger,
record.
that's for sure.
I just like a track record. My thing with Trump, I've always said this, is he's a Trumpist first.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is into
He's a
Donald
narcissist.
Trump.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that he doesn't understand the economy. It doesn't mean that his policies on regulation weren't great.
Right.
It doesn't mean that I don't agree. I do agree with a lot of his China issues. You know, there are a lot of things I think he's hilarious. I can't take my eyes off him. I love listening to him. He's hilarious. Now, do I think he's a bit of a con man? Do I think that my problem is he's not interested in what he doesn't know.
Right.
And I
inject yourself with disinfectant.
Yeah, and I think he's so but he's also kind of refreshing to a lot of people. Just because you like Donald Trump does not mean you're a racist.
That's why he beat Hillary.
It's because he was funny. And
you know what I don't like, Brian? I don't. Sorry to interrupt you, but you reminded me of this. I don't like the fact that in 2016 he starts talking about voter fraud and how elections are rigged. Then he wins, and then for the next 3 years you don't hear about it, right? And now all of a sudden elections are rigged again. I wish Republicans would stop talking about election integrity and talk about some of the issues that you talked about.
Well, Democrats did it too, right?
They did. You're right.
The American story.
You're right.
When Bush won, they were like the hanging chads.
Right.
It goes back and forth, man.
It's nonsense.
It's never been any different. They were calling Abe Lincoln a chimpanzee. Right. They were talking about how he looked like a chimpanzee. So if you really go back in history, Eddie Murphy in his first special was talking about how racism is no longer an issue, at least not around him.
Right.
You know, it never ends, bro.
where is the line with jokes? You talk about racism and, obviously I'm sure you would agree with me. Nobody should probably be using the N-word, period. Right. You saw what happened to Michael Richards, and that was horrible.
Yeah, by the way, I was the last I performed and he came on after me.
Wait, hold on a second. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You were right before him?
Yes,
I didn't know that.
that night.
Oh my gosh. So you were there when that happened.
Nope. I watched
you
him.
left.
I watched him. I'd seen him before, and he's just not experienced enough. I can't watch. I had to get out of there because
So
I'd
you
seen
were-
how it got. I had seen how it was going for him many times before that, because for whatever reason they were putting me up, and then he came up a couple times behind me, and I've worked with him before. I've done a TV show.
Nice guy,
Yeah, he's actually a very talented, nice guy,
but not a good stand-up
and I
comic.
don't think he's a racist at all. I think that he just
His career ended.
Well, he went crazy.
He went nuts.
yeah,
he
went
lost his
crazy.
mind.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, let's talk a little bit about. You're not going to be talking about abortion tonight on stage. You're going to be making people laugh
Yeah,
and
dude.
having a good time. For somebody that I've seen your stand-up before. For somebody that, and I'll be going to your show tonight. For somebody that has never seen you do stand-up before, Brian, talk to me about your stand-up routine and for people that are thinking of catching your show tonight.
I'm going to make an argument tonight. I'm going to make an argument that 18 is too young to vote, that the world would be a lot different if men could cry, and that just because you are a liberal or a Democrat doesn't mean, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat,
Right.
a liberal or conservative,
Right.
I believe, and I'm going to make the argument, that a society needs both expressions. You need people that are intuitive, emotional, open to change, and you need people that don't like change, that believe in strong, hard, fast lines, because there are jobs for both sides. And believe me, when you have somebody who's a structural engineer coming up with the fire exits of a huge building like that and making sure the roof doesn't fall in, the math that goes into that, I want a conservative, bro. I want no flexibility in that guy, okay?
Yeah, sure.
And when it comes to fashion or the music we're listening to or dance or twerking, I want that stuff invented by liberals because they're better at it. Right,
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, so I'm gonna make an argument that we need each other. Here's liberals.
I love it.
Liberals are like, let's adopt that dog, and conservatives are like, who's gonna walk it? And those are two considerations, man.
Oh my God, I love that.
We need each other,
and we need to laugh too.
Yes.
Brian, you are the best, man. I can't wait to see your show. You're performing 2 shows tonight and tomorrow night. Wise Guys Comedy Club. Please check it out. Pauly Shore's a big part of it.
Yes.
Brian is the best. He's one of my favorites. I can't wait to see your show tonight. And also, I'm sorry to put you out and take you out of your way to see all these half-naked
Dude, this
beautiful
is
women.
terrible. I'm disgusted and appalled and so horny right now. So I gotta go to church. I need a priest.
You're not gonna find one here.
Where's that chapel that I married those people in the Hangover? I gotta go pray.
We need to go back there.
I gotta pray.
Yeah, please do. We'll pray together. Brian, thank you so much for being here, man. I appreciate your time. You are one of the best in the business. Brian Callen, everybody. Go check him out tonight. Wise Guys, 7:30, 9:30, and tomorrow night, 7:30 and 9:30. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You are listening to Pushing the Limits right here.